In order for you to get a real handle as to what's happening in our world, you have to look at our culture, you have to look at our world of entertainment, you have to look at what we laugh at, what our jokes are, fashion, music, who we are as a people. There were these wonderful quotes I was reading this morning that Lenin said. He was talking about the notion of art being used as means of expression. And then you also had many, many people, many, many organizations, many, many countries using or coming up with their own version of controlling the arts. We have this through Voice of America. We have this with PBS. We have this with NPR. We have this. This is government propaganda. So the thing you have to grasp and really understand, and sometimes it's very disconcerting when some of our dear friends will say things like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't watch CNN. I don't care about it. I don't." No, 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 no. No, no, no. You have to find out what people are doing. You have to find out what people are eating. You wouldn't know about red dye number 3 unless you paid attention to what people are eating. It's just your job as a sentient member of our society is to understand everything. And that's why I'm trying to tell people the first thing you must really try to do for a week is just delve into it, but don't watch Fox News. I can't explain enough how that is so misleading. Now, one of the things which we find interesting is your ability to test BS, okay? Your ability to test BS and your ability to get to the bottom of it. Now, as you know, the Obamas, as part of their sale, when they sold Barry and Michelle to you, was this notion of who they were as a couple. It's one of the reasons why they wanted you to vote for them. It was one of the reasons. I just put out one of the Lionel news pieces, and I think we tweaked something. We may have fixed something for somebody. Some of you folks had said, "I'm not getting this. Check your inboxes today." We might have tweaked something. We're always tweaking something. I'm always my life is one big tweak. That's what I'm doing. I'm tweaking constantly, not twerking, but tweaking. So, in any event, what we're doing is we're looking at this thing right now, and one of the subjects is this idea of this couple, Michelle and Barry. Is it Sotoro? Is it this? We can talk. We know more about him than anybody. And we didn't go through great deep diving to find out. We asked, who is he? Because they gave us a story of who he was. And then they don't want you to go any further. They don't want you to look. They don't want you to plumb the depths of the real story. They don't want you to do this. It's like, don't do it. Don't ask, because if you do, you're a racist, which I've never really understood. You are a racist if you dare to ask questions about this. So get ready, my friends. Couple of programming notes. Today, Ventilation Friday with Mrs. L, who in 2 days will enjoy a birthday. That's tonight. In addition, thank you for following us at Lionel Nation. We've been on with, of course, Sean Atwood, had a wonderful time with our good friends at Redacted, with Natalie Morris, to spread the word, to get us into the HOV lane so that people who may not have ever been really interested in kind of getting to what we're talking about now will recognize the fact that this network, this show, this thing that we're doing is unlike any others. Unlike any others, where we will not necessarily accept everything that is given to us, but will also open a new can of worms whenever we see it appropriate. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Sit back, watch what we do, pay attention. You're going to love this. The question today, are the Obamas finally headed for a divorce, and why that matters? But first, this. Listen to this. New reports reveal that the average person has $8,674 in credit card debt. Plus, the total average consumer debt is a shocking $104,215 between mortgages, auto loans, student loans, credit cards, and unsecured loans. Unfortunately, without outside assistance, many will continue digging themselves deeper and deeper into the hole of debt. I've advised and counseled friends and clients for years who want to take back control of individual debt about this secret weapon that has helped so many consolidate everything owed into one affordable monthly payment. They even helped negotiate a settlement agreement that will allow you to pay less than the total balance. Listen, they settled over $275 million in debt, and they've helped people become debt-free in an average of 28 months. I've had such an incredible experience referring clients and friends that I wanted to partner with them here and introduce their services to you, my loyal Lionel Nation family. If you want a helping hand to get out of debt, I absolutely, positively, and strenuously recommend booking a free consultation now by going to nodebtwithlionel.com. Look at the address. Once again, that's nodebtwithlionel.com. Use the link I've provided under the title. Listen to me. You can take control and learn how to get out of debt now. My friends, a couple of things. Being historians, people that we know, you and I are historians, we've always enjoyed this wonderful fact of whatever it is that they give us. And the first ladies have always been subject of interest, legitimate interest, not just petty, gossip, but from Dolly Madison to Martha. Remember, Martha Washington. George Washington made his money by marrying Martha. This whole Mary Todd Lincoln, it was believed that Mary Todd Lincoln was absolutely insane. And she suffered a variety of problems. They always attributed to the death of her son, Tad, or whatever, but it was, some people believe, how about this? That it was unchecked tertiary syphilis, which she, hear me out, which she contracted from Abe, who, as you know, had a life which might surprise you. And they always had these stories that said, well, he actually lived or slept with in the same bed with, I think, his law partner. And that was common at that time. And they said, no, that wasn't common at that time. So you see what we're doing here is part of our world. This is where I tell you to turn off Fox News. Turn off that, because there is something which is going on. I want to explain a concept to you, which is very important. It's a bit of an analogy, but I'll tell you nonetheless. The notion is called respondeat superior. What that means is simply this. When you're involved in an accident, you're hit, let's say, by a Pepsi truck or Coke or FedEx. You can sue FedEx. You can sue Pepsi by virtue of the action of their employee. It's through an agency theory. Agency is a one of these law school classes, that agency and partnership, where you think, this doesn't sound very interesting. It's fascinating because it deals again with many, many relationships that people have. And the theory behind respondeat superior means the person, the boss, will respond to the actions and the torts and the negligence of his underlings. And the reason why is simply this: if they're going to benefit financially from the actions, from the work of their employees, they should also take the responsibility of the I guess from the negligence of their people. If they're driving around a big truck and it says Pepsi or Coke and they hit somebody, they should be responsible. Why? Because they're benefiting from these. They're acting almost as an agent. Okay. So sometimes you got to look at this and you got to ask yourself, all right, we have to look at agency. Yeah, there's Barack Obama, but they're giving us this story. And if Barack Obama benefits from the story about Michelle, and if John Kennedy benefited from the story of his wife, and if you're given this list story about some of the fraudulent, these make-believe marriages, Hillary and Bill. Another one too was JFK and Jackie. Oh, this was septic. Believe it or not, some of the most honest relationships, I think, were Jimmy Carter and his wife. I think George W. Bush and Laura. Nixon and Pat. Remember when Nixon was crying when Pat died? Oh my God. Remember he was, and the stories that he used to beat the hell out of her, and he was an alcoholic. I mean, you can't believe these stories. And this will never be given to you on Fox News, because Fox News likes to give you, put it this way. Fox News is like, think of Bush reading My Pet Goat. Okay. So I'm going to tell you, well, why is that interesting? It's exceedingly interesting. Number one. Number two, I want to remind you of something. Lionel's rules. Number one, rumors usually are true. Let me say this again. Rumors usually are true. Truth sometimes is like the beginning of a pimple. Many of you might have remembered this. You have a prom night or a wedding, and all of a sudden you're saying, oh no. Do you get one of those zits that say, oh, that hurts. Oh, those sebaceous kind of those things that hurt. Say, ow. How about a zit in your nose or in your ears? Say, ow. How do I get ow? And it starts, don't touch it. Don't pop it. Leave it alone. Forget Dr. Pimple Popper. Get ready. Oh, no. And then it develops. It gets even more. I say, what's happening now? Oh, my God. Well, it's coming to a head. Good. Let it pop. And they do all this stuff because you don't want to have this thing at the wedding or whatever it was. Well, the truth is like that. Starts off sometimes with a rumor. And there has to be a little something to this. You never heard that Richard Nixon was gay. Never. Or Bill Clinton. Or George W. Bush. You just don't. And the reason why usually is not that it's not true, it's because it wasn't true enough for it to get to this level. Barack Obama and Michelle had rumor after rumor about him, his sexuality, her and her gender. And I'm sorry, I don't remember anybody coming along. Now, hear me out. I just put out a brand new, there's a link here. Subscribe to my newsletter. Get it right now. And there will be these stories, and I want you to listen to why this is important. I thought one of the craziest ideas was, what is all this talk about Michelle being a man? You've heard this. It was a joke. Joan Rivers and this. I thought, okay, maybe she seems like, look, I've known people, and you have too. I've had some relatives, some aunts of mine that look like Dan Blocker. They look like Hoss Cartwright. They were women, but they were just big, or they were kind of masculine looking. Or you look at Golda Meir, okay? Look at that punum. Look at that face. Doesn't she look like, she looks like a front end of a Buick. She was a wild woman. Remember the stories about the infidelity and the open marriages and that? I mean, Golda Meir. You can't believe this stuff. So just now, does it matter? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Okay. I want you to think about something. And there's a lot of good stuff that's coming out. Candace Owens, bless her heart with her street. I love the street and the straight and the stop sign. She's on to something. I don't know the relevance about this Brigitte or whatever her name is, Macron. And by the way, do me a favor. A macaron, not Macron, but a macaron is those little wonderful French pastries with the various colors, little cookies with the various things. That's a macaron. Don't say a macaroon. That's that coconutty thing. Please, just do me a favor. Okay, work with me on this. Here comes Candace Owens. And Candace is a spirited Spitfire, really. Okay, fine. And she wants to go after this. Is Kamala Harris really black? Okay, fine. Is Brigitte Macron, was she a man? Was she a man? Is he a man? Was he? Because technically speaking, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. Okay, put that aside. You've got this Michelle Obama. Why her? I don't know. Now stuff is coming out. Okay, stop for a second. Stop. In the past 4 years, have you ever heard as much about transgender talk as you did in the past 4 years? Did you? I never did. I've got two very close friends. One of my best pal ever. Had him on the other day. I said, "Did you?" He's gay, and he's been in the LA, in the world, so to speak, the politics, whatever. I said, "Have you really?" Of course, you've heard the notion of transgender, whatever. But if you heard anything like this, he says, "Never. Not like this. Not like this now." Isn't it something that we realize? Hey, there was Macron. Hey, there was this talk. And I, by the way, have no independent evidence. And if I did, I'd tell you. But all I know is what people are saying. Joan Rivers and her tragic accidental or death, whatever, shortly thereafter. But why do you think all of a sudden now people are saying, oh, that's what they were talking about? It was almost like these rumors came first and then came the discussion. So, from a practical point of view, I don't think that has anything to do with any rumors of their divorce, because whatever that fact is was known then. There were also questions about Obama's. Remember, there was this girl that he met and she fell in love. You know what a beard is, right? A beard, barba. A barbe to somebody who is bearded. A beard is someone that is put out as the show or the theoretical spouse of somebody rumored to be gay. Best example was, of course, Rock Hudson, that you might remember. Before that, Elsa Lanchester. I know her name is not Lancaster. It's like Anne Lanchester. And Charles Lawton. Very interesting one. Believe it or not, Spencer Tracy, Katharine Hepburn. He was a roaring alcoholic and might have been. So this has been going on forever. That's the gay thing. It still goes on. It's still in the highest levels, the C-suites, the whatever. If you have somebody who is a star, still to this day, he's an action hero. He's an action hero who is who lives, theoretically lives in this world of being the action hero, and is known for repelling from play. And if he's gay, and you're in this studio, and you're going to say we could lose millions if this is somehow not believed. And the reason why is very simply this. Nobody really cares if a woman, like Sharon Stone, who I think was in one film, or two, I don't even remember. Anyway, if she's gay, and I don't have any reason, but I'm saying, but if you found out she was gay or bisexual or whatever, she could still do these romantic leads. It doesn't really matter. But if a man it's a different story. What was that guy? Who was that guy? Rupert Everett? What was his name? Yeah, this was a guy who I think was something about Mary. The audiences couldn't take it. I said, well, he's an actor. Say, no, he's supposed to be so and so. It's you wouldn't believe in the world of sports if you represented. Let me explain something to you. I'm going to give you just an absolute theoretical, hypothetical possibility. I'm not saying this is true or not, but think about this. One of the guys that people love is John Daly. John Daly is, if he doesn't just kick of a heart attack one day, he smokes 20 cigarettes during a tournament, drinks 21 Diet Cokes, and he's like 400 pounds. And he's known as this, men love him. He's this kind of a rough and tumble. It's kind of like Waylon Jennings, and you know what I mean? Okay. What if you found out John is gay? Men would be horrified. If you found out, and I'm not saying this, but just hypothetically, Joe Rogan was gay. He's got a boyfriend. You would say, what? Wait a minute, what? Because his image is UFC boxer, martial arts, submerges himself in ice water. Nobody does that anymore, but they did for like a week. Eats raw meat, uses a salt lick. Dana White. What? What? It would destroy it. Why? Because you buy the package. And Hollywood, again, let me just go on the record. I'm not saying that. This is a hypothetical. Assume arguendo versus innuendo, which is an Italian suppository. But I digress. You see how this works? One of the things people love, there is this real masculine women. I don't think they care as much. Men, who are some of the people who, if you found out they were gay, it would destroy many people. Again, I don't give a damn, but others do. And I thought years ago, if somebody told me Norman Schwarzkopf, I'd say, all right, that's it. I don't know what to believe anymore. Bob Dole, I'm sorry. I'm speaking reality to you. I'm not saying this is the way it should be. Who cares? Alexander the Great was gay. Doesn't matter to him. Who cares? But that doesn't matter. And the number of people today who still fight this thing, you would think with all this stuff about people sitting at the dinner or the breakfast table with the phone and this and the jure and the pink hair and the pronouns, it's weird. We're still stuck in that. It is still this trans people don't even understand what the trans thing is. It's gay or straight or whatever it was. I remember one time it's a friend of mine who went to a bar. He says, you know what? I went to this bar. They're either gay or they're straight. The reason why I'm bringing this up to you and spending this time is to explain in our culture, this matters. Do you know the number of closeted politicians? Come on. And we know this. All of a sudden, somebody gets married. All of a sudden. This is my favorite. People on Broadway, it's like, if ever there was a place where you would think it would be okay. No. There are people who say, no, I am not going to say this. Okay. I can't bring myself to it. Ed Koch was in World War II. He was from a different era. He was glaringly, everybody knew he was gay. Bess Meyerson, the beard. I mean, he was living, he couldn't bring himself to do it. Couldn't. I think he turned his back on some lover. This is a very serious thing. Even in the year 2025, even in this year, think about what I'm saying to you. Forget trans, this. Okay, now we get back. Now we got this Macron. Two things happen. Number one, the trans thing is a different thing, but the gay is a different story. Different story. And some people can handle it differently than others. And here's the best part. When you sit at a table, I'll never forget one time, there was a meeting I attended. PR people, Hollywood people, the whole bit. And they went through the list. gay, 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 gay. And I said, do you know it? Everybody knows it. And they meant it. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows this. And that's another thing, too. There are the levels. There's the Fox News. This is the, what am I trying to say? This is the bumper sticker. This is the, the official. George Washington was the father of our country. Abraham Lincoln split rails, and that kind of stuff. Just that usual David McCulloch kind of a. I want to know the real. I have a book that sometimes if I'm just, you just want not trash to read, but it's about this thick. It's about Jackie Kennedy. You cannot believe if 10% of this is true. 10%. Jackie, her sister, the father, Blackjack Bouvier. This is a degeneracy off the charts. Remember, Caligula, the wildest time in our country's history. The wildest, not the 60s, not now, the 20s. It was off the charts especially when studios hit. Now, do you think anybody on Fox, you think Harris Faulkner is going to do this? No. You think anybody's going to do this? No. So here's what's happening right now. Whenever somebody talks about something, whenever you hear something, whenever you hear a joke, a reference, a cultural reference, a thought, you got to ask yourself, why are people saying it? Sometimes it's baseless, sometimes it's not. I told you before, and I've done this on my private channel repeatedly. There were stories, you've heard them, about famous actors rushed to the emergency room for things that make no sense. Absolutely no sense. It's preposterous. By its very nature, it doesn't make any sense. You know them. I'm not going to go through them right now. Those don't really catch on. That's more like Loch Ness Monster kind of stuff. Yeah, they've been around, but nobody takes it seriously. But people have been looking at the Obamas, and they've been saying, ain't buying this, ain't buying this. And there's one thing for you to say, well, maybe they're not a couple, meaning, maybe they're on the outs. Okay, that's not what we're talking about. Bill and Hillary. I think they kind of love each other, kind of like as business partners. I don't think there's anything to that at all. Nothing. And that's fine. That's the way it is. But Obama's have been something which is completely different. The arrogance. And he, by the way, you could almost tell was happiest when she wasn't around. Did you ever get that feeling? When he was by himself, and let me tell you something. If I work with Barry and if I sat there, first of all, you're going to lose that black soul preacher voice, okay? Don't ever do that again. That is the most inauthentic thing you do. Be yourself. When he is just being charming, he is deadly. She couldn't be charming if she doesn't have it. She just doesn't have it. George W. Bush. George is a goofy frat boy. He's a towel snapping, gum chewing, picking your nose kind of guy who does, fart. You see the way he goes up? He's like one of the guys. What is he? Almost 80 years old, and the guy or 70 something. He's that's just the way he is. He's authentic. Let me tell you a story about George Bush. A friend of mine here in New York. I'm not going to mention what. There was an event. And the owner said, told all his servers, we're going to have a party, and George Bush is going to be here. I don't want anybody to say anything. If you don't like it, quit now. Because these are the typical lefties, and, this is before Trump, but you know how they were. They loved him. He was the nicest guy anybody's ever. And when people that I know who know Obama at first, he was kind of cold. Later on, he'll charm the pants off. He is. Did you see him? Him with Trump? That was beautiful. She couldn't stand it. I'm going to say something to you, my friend, and I want you to take this the wrong way. And please don't take offense to what I'm about to say. Two people here, vindictive, Kamala and Michelle. They are harridans, viragos, xanthipes, shrews. They don't forget, like the witch. They don't forget this. This is the last thing. This is not misogyny. I am an expert in human behavior. And if you don't like what I have to say, I don't know what to tell you. Hell hath no fury. There is the stink eye, the dirty look is something that men do not get. We don't do this. The dirty, I've seen this my whole life. You've seen it too. When Kamala sat there, and look who she picks as this, not so much a beard, but just like a place setter. He's kind of sitting there. He's like a cutout. He's like, kind of look at him like the Doug or whatever his name is. By the way, this is another guy too. I'm not gonna waste any time with it, but I could do a Freudian review of this guy. In any event, when she sat down and looked over and saw Trump and Obama, you could, well. And here's Michelle. She didn't show up to Jimmy Carter's funeral. Jimmy Carter. Now remember, the inauguration, the Trumps didn't show up to. I don't believe they showed up to Biden's. So that's okay. That's a different story. This is, these are, and it shows. And the thing that, this is where they're so amateurish, especially, say what you want, the worst is Michelle Obama. She's the worst. She is, because her whole thing is conflicted. And there is nothing worse than conflicted when you don't know what it is. There is a story, ladies and gentlemen, I've told you many, many times. Do you know why? Do you know why? When you get dizzy, when you're in a carnival ride and you're spun around, why you will become emetic, you will vomit. Do you know why? Do you? Now people will say, because of the cochlea and this. No. We know that. Why vomit? Why become emetic? Why emesis? Why not sneezing? Why not laughing? Why not losing some other bodily function? Why? Why that? Why are you sick? Why vomit? Why? And the reason is, it is opined, is that when you're unable to handle when you get inconsistent stimuli coming in, your feet are firm, your feet are on the ground, you know you're not moving, but there's motion being detected, there's a confusion. You are conflicted, two things. And what your body does is your brain says, you have ingested a neurotoxin. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that and see what we can do here. Let's get rid of this because we're getting too inconsistent stimuli. That's why conflicted. Michelle Obama is furious. She is ready to explode. She has been a theoretical, kind of like a Potemkin village, a prop, a stand-in, an understudy. She's the wife. And we know nothing about these people. Nothing. Now, we shouldn't have access to family photos, but it's like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It's like somebody came along and said, Okay, you and you. You don't think that's been done before? You and you. Now, here's the question. Why in the hell would anybody pick Michelle Obama? If you're really picking people out, if you're saying, look, Barry, you're going to be the president one day. We're gonna pluck you out of obscurity because your father was a CIA, whatever it is. Okay, you're gonna meet. Remember his girlfriends, the people that he wanted. I think his first girlfriend was a white girl. Remember, she was like blonde or anyway. I don't know. No, 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 no. We're not gonna do that. No, 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 no. We're not ready for that. Why not? An interracial marriage? If you believe the stories that he was picked out, that he was selected by overseers, handlers, to become this person down the road. And if you think that's beyond the realm of possibilities, you just don't know how this thing works. You don't know how this thing works. But why Michelle? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. There's some people, but it's like there's a lot of stuff I don't get. Why pick Kamala? I don't understand that one either. But all I know is somebody somewhere is saying, and believe me when I tell you this, when you pick up the phone anytime, I'll give you an example. Daily Mail's the best. Daily Mail is the favorite for, and you might think this is you might think gossip is right. We don't hear about the National Enquirer anymore, but that used to be really, it was a rag, and then it got to be very, very good. But you pick up the phone and you have a publicist and you call up Daily Mail and say, listen, my client is going to be out at St. Bart's, and I want you to take a picture of her frolicking on the beach, quote, rocking her bikini, whatever it is. And they say, okay. Lo and behold, there's these shots of them rocking the beach of whatever, and that's all planted. Meghan Markle is the greatest story that you're missing if you don't see how, if you just love pure, because that's like politics, pure positioning and posturing, this myth called Meghan Markle. There was a story too a while back. Amy Robach and JT, whatever his name was, these two insignificant people from ABC who were shit canned over whatever it was. And she has just not caught on at all. They have done everything in their power. It ain't gonna happen. This is the politics of celebrity. Now, hang on one second. I'm going to tell you a very, very important message about, this is my latest one, my latest video, which I love this because remember, entertainment, who was it? Zappa said that the Pentagon is the military arm of the entertainment industry. Everything that controls the world is public opinion. Everything else is, Elon Musk might be the best ever at working this. Trump, the greatest of all time. You see how they're going to have all of the people who used to be, they want Bezos, Zuckerberg, everybody to be there so he can show the world this is a changing of the guard. This is exactly what I'm doing. Now, before I forget, let me tell you something right now. There is a deal of deals right now with preparedwithlionel.com and My Patriot Supply. It is simply put, my friends, absolutely incredibly incredible. I'll just leave it at that. Food preparation. There was a time in this country when if you did this, and I'm not talking about, sometimes they have these underground bunkers where people are ready for the apocalypse, for like the next, from now to the end of time. I'm not talking about them. This is a very relatively easy method to be food secure. We're just talking about that a week, a month, 6 months. It's up to you. And it doesn't take up an entire floor of your home. It doesn't. That's the beauty of preparewithlionel.com. But in addition to that, if you want to know about things like how to have a radio in the event there's no power, power's down, either a crank radio or a solar-powered radio, generators, water purification, you name it. Everything, first aid kits. If it comes to the world of disaster, you have to be prepared. Prepare with Lionel.com. And right now, there's a 4-week emergency food supply kit for $50 off. That's just incredible. Do it right now. Join the millions of Americans, seriously, who've bought this over the years. This is the best company, bar none. Nobody's better than My Patriot Supply, and the only site, and they have supported us since day one, is preparewithlionel.com. And by the way, speaking of which, I hope you've also gone to your car and make sure before you drive away, if somebody says license, registration, and proof of insurance, can you go to that in one movement? Can you do that? License is easy. You normally carry. Sometimes people take a picture of it. I don't recommend that, but that's okay. But to have a little envelope, little whatever it is in your car, please do that. Just do it today. You're going to thank me for this. Instead of, where the hell is this? Why people throw crap in there? I have no idea. Okay. Let me tell you the latest story of why this is the most beautiful and why come Monday, it'll be all right. Monday is going to be the most incredible thing we have ever seen. CNN right now is trying its utmost to reconnect. MSDNC is done. You can see that. Look what's happening with Rachel Maddow. She went from 1 day a week. Now she's back to 5. It's over with. It's done. They've lost. It's just done. Just like late night. Anybody, have you ever watched Seth Meyers? Have you watched that? Jimmy Kimmel? Are you watching? I mean, so many people watch it, but... And Jimmy Fallon? I thought Jimmy Fallon was headed for either the psych ward or rehab or something. He was acting like a damn fool. But this stupid act where he does this over-the-top laughing, it's done. Why? Because of this. We have the best shows ever right at your fingertip. I'm telling you. So it's over. But CNN, they're trying something. First, they get this Scott Jennings, who's good too. They're at least putting on something closer to fair but balanced or what have you. They're trying to pull people that they recognize they cannot completely abandon the left, but they're at least trying something new. Okay, that's that. Well, the guy who really pissed this president off, and this is a guy who will track you down, available right now, who will track you down and destroy you. And that's President Trump. He will not stop until you are destroyed. I love that about him. It's the way it is. Jim Acosta was the most obnoxious of them all. Jim Acosta figured, I can do what I want. And to an extent, he was encouraged. Years ago, my dear friend Anthony Cumia, when he was on with that other guy, and they had that show, they were always pushed. Do it. Hey, we're getting in trouble. Do it. That's great. We're making millions of dollars. Yeah. Okay, plus Howard Stern was jealous. Another story. Push it, yeah. Well, one day they did something where they had somebody go into the, how do I say it? Oh, in St. Patrick's Cathedral. And they enlisted this couple to supposedly, involve themselves in something sordid in St. Patrick's Cathedral. Blasphemous, disreligious, disrespectful, whatever you want to call it. Well, they wanted to absolutely destroy Opie and Anthony. And I said, wait a minute. You wanted them to do that. And then all of a sudden they go too far. It's like having a pit bull or having a dog that's trained to do something, and then the dog does it, and then you put the dog down. I don't understand this. Well, seeing Jim Acosta, to be fair, they loved it. Well, now he's been banished to what they call the Siberia of television in an effort from CNN to engage and encourage and curry favor with President Trump. Now, this guy's been around for a long time. He has had a long-standing feud with Trump, and Trump called him a rude and terrible person, accused him of reporting fake news, banned him. So CNN chief Mark Thompson, did you see this? Who's Mark Thompson? Remember what was that poor guy, Will? What was his name? The guy from CNN, the poor guy who was talking to himself. And what's his name? Will or no? Yeah, but it was the guy before him. Sir Mark Thompson. Oh, Chris Licht, right. Mark Thompson is now the head of, he is a British American media guy, chairman of the board of Ancestry, the genealogy group, and he's the CEO of CNN. Sir Mark Thompson. Sir, part of the British group, okay? You got this? This is very serious stuff. So he has come along and he said, all right, I'm going to do things my way. And the first things we're going to do is we are going to, in order to show some type of conciliatory move on the part of this, we're going to take this guy who was doing, I think it was 10 o'clock in the morning, and they're going to put him like at midnight. Midnight. You hear what I'm saying? MP right now is a new YouTube member. Thank you, MT. Pilgrim Media says, think of them all in the joke, the aristocrats. Yes, indeed. Arul says, when divorced, will Barry be public with a new love? Well, you know, they're also saying, and in this newsletter, they're doing this one. Okay, ready for this? They're claiming, insinuating, whatever, that he was somehow connected, perhaps maybe tangentially, to Jennifer Aniston. I don't believe that for reasons I don't want to go into. But I don't believe that. Doesn't matter. Jennifer Aniston's people say, put the word out. Put the word out. Why? So we can mention her name. Is that Apple TV thing? I don't even know. Jennifer Aniston, that whole Friends thing, I don't know. Anytime you get your name out there, especially when you're the love interest, I don't know, maybe, whatever. But look what they're doing to this CNN fella. They're doing everything in their power to tell President Trump, and this guy Thompson is smart. So what he's done is he has talked about moving his 10 o'clock morning show to the dread time slot of midnight. An insider told Status Newsletter they want to get rid of Acosta to throw a bone to Trump. Midnight is not a serious offer when his ratings are among the best. So what they're doing is they're saying, well, maybe whatever it is. And they said that Thompson also hopes to slot Jim Acosta into programming from midnight to 2 with assurances that the show would in turn be airing during prime time and all this stuff. It's over. And the reason why it's over, keep going. The reason why it's over is because it's a new world. It's a new time. It's a new era. It's a new epic or epoch, as people call it. It's a new everything. This is not just a president. This is it. This is it. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to go back to what I said initially. Do you remember there are always suggestions and always talks about people, we knew about JFK's dalliances. We knew about FDR's dalliances. We knew about even Kay Summersby with Dwight Eisenhower. Come on. Nixon, no, but that was one thing. And then there was this idea that Bill Clinton. Okay, Bill Clinton. There you go with that. Well, then You know, we talk about these Buchanans and other, and this was the thing which always got people going, the notion of a gay president. And this is one thing which, and let me tell you something. James Buchanan, you know, they say he may have actually he might have actually had his way with his vice president. I mean, anyway, this then was kind of, but how do I say this? It was a little bit maybe better accepted then than now. But what we're talking about is the first time something has ever materialized, which people have to pay very strict attention to. Our friend Carla, the cooking CEO, says, as the epoch wanes, the hubris of the mighty shall crumble into oblivion. The enigma lies in whether they shall discern the ashes of their own undoing. No, they will not. And thank you for that poetic adumbration of this. No, they will not, because they simply don't get it. They simply don't get it. But I want you, Carla, to ask yourself this question. When do you recall any time where you have two cases? One, again, allegations, social media, different story. Two cases, Michelle and Macron's wife, who were talked about being men. You ever heard about this? I'm just saying. Now, the next thing is they say social media. Social media. And they kind of laugh at, social media. What's this social media all about? Okay. It's just social media. Social media is the pulse of everything. Social media is enormous. Social media is something that you absolutely, positively have got to understand is bigger than anything anybody could possibly grasp or understand. You understand what I'm saying? Social media is the focus group. Social media is the first time when we get the chance to look forward and say, wait a minute, what's going on here? We say this. Let me see if I can. I don't think people grasp this. Social media is not this silly little thing. By the way, Brad Rung says, is the first time a president took office with the flag at half staff. Is this, huh? Yeah, they're raising the flags tomorrow. Thank you. Just for the day. By the way, did you see where the stand was? There, across from Lafayette Park, right there in front of they're having the thing. You couldn't get me near. I don't want to. But bless his heart. And again, until he says, so help me God. And I hope they've already sworn in. I hope he's already sworn in. I don't think you have to wait until that day. I don't think he can be sworn in until the 20th. But at midnight, I hope he swears in and just have a judge or somebody there in any event. But let me explain something. When people, if you do anything, if you're a cooking CEO, if you're in charge of a campaign, you want to know what people think. It's the most important thing in the world. Social media provides the instant availability of this right now. So when something is trending, it's not some stupid lunatic thing that's happening. It's real. So for the first time, when a certain thing gains momentum, this is what happens. One of the reasons why President Trump won and Biden lost and Kamala lost was, quote, social media. Memes, cartoons, used to be cartoons. Cartoons was the thing that so specifically designated and determined the course of a particular action. Carla, the cooking CEO, says social media is as impactful as written language when it was first emerged. I think it's even more so. Brad Rung says, oh, here are the birthdays. Kid Rock, 54. Michelle Obama, 61. Jim Carrey, 63. Susanna Hoffs of the Bangles, I think she's my age, 66. Steve Harvey, 68. Paul Young, 69. And Bobby Kennedy, 71 years old. How about that? I love the Bangles. I like the Go-Go's. Bangles and Go-Go's. I'll even go so far as to say I like Bananarama. And I'll even say one thing I liked, the song I liked the most, not Venus. Shocking Blues are the best. The one they did was Robert De Niro Walking. I know of all people, something about that song I thought was great. Now, social media today, let me ask you something. When you want to go to a restaurant, what do? You want to go to a restaurant. How many of you, we always look at the menu. Always. I love to peruse menus, find out what they've got ahead of time. And there's nothing better than when we go someplace and we'll say, hey, by the way, we're going to a restaurant. Oh, we're going to go place. Well, it's okay. We're just plant-based, but that's okay. Don't worry. Oh, sure. And we go. We had Mrs. One friend. Well, they've got fish. Well, you eat fish, right? I said, we just told you. Nobody understands. Anyway, so that's why we look at the menu all the time. But when you want to find out about a restaurant, what do? You go to Yelp, you go to Travel Advisor, you go to wherever the hell it is. You look at what people are saying. You look at the pictures, kind of look at the front of it. You don't go to Zagat or Michelin or whatever. Who cares about that? This is what you do. You find out what people are saying. I start every day. I look at X or Twitter. I look at the under the trending in the news. What are people saying today? What's trending now? I don't care what's important. What's trending? And what does it really mean? Supreme Court just upholds a TikTok ban. Did you hear that one? That's a fascinating story, just as we broke. It's supposed to start at the 19th. We'll talk about TikTok ban. I don't think anybody knows about that. I told you yesterday there was an incident at the last. I think it was at the State Department. It was the last day of Blinken and Max Blumenthal. I think was it Rabini or no? Was it Rabini? I think they were thrown out because they were yelling at Blinken, but they were making, you're a Zionist shill and a hack, and you're killing people without any interest in the validity of the claim. I looked at what are social media people saying about this. What do people say? First of all, nobody understands what a Zionist is or a Christian Zionist. Good luck, good night. They have no idea what this means. But I like to see how people react. That's all. And what social media will tell you is what's important. You talk about food. Carla was talking about food. I like when all of a sudden somebody says, remember when gluten-free came about? All of a sudden, overnight, gluten-free. There was a pizza joint down the street called Nizza. And they had the first gluten-free crust. Gluten-free. Is this because of celiac? Is it? No. People just say, gluten-free, please. Why? I just want it. This is gluten-free. Is that gluten-free? It became a movement. You can question it. You can ask. You can say, what is this? Doesn't matter. It becomes a movement. And when it becomes a movement, that's all you got to care about. That's what people are saying. If all of a sudden there was, maybe you don't remember this, there were bell bottoms and flip. Not anymore. So what I'm trying to tell you, my friends, is understand what people are saying and why. Now, let me say what's an important thing. First of all, to thank our great friends, Brad Rung, Carla, the cooking CEO, thank you, MP and Pilgrim Media, and Raul Rodriguez. Let me also tell you that I forgot to mention, don't forget our friend. Don't forget our friend. I'm going to say this every day. He's been our sponsor. We're always loyal. Our friends at mypillow.com, promo code Lionel, the great Mike Lindell. If you don't know about pillows and slippers and towels, I don't know what to tell you. They're simply the best. And he is a true and bona fide patriot and a wonderful sponsor. And I want you to do promo code Lionel, mypillow.com. Also, programming note tonight, Ventilation Friday with Mrs. L. Wait a minute. Carla, the cooking house, says Mrs. L is getting 2 deliveries today. Oh my gosh. There you go. Be on the lookout. Be on the lookout, honey. Now, what we also need for you to understand and to recognize is a few things to it. Thank you, Carla. You have been such a just beyond magnanimous and gracious. So tonight it's going to be Ventilation Friday. Please look at the brand new video newsletter that went out regarding this Michelle thing, which is, I think, the most fascinating thing in the world. And make sure you subscribe to the newsletter and see if you get this today, because we did a little tweaking, as it were. Also, make sure and thank you for subscribing to Lionel Nation, what you're watching right now. Your ability, your focus, giving us the attention and the numbers, puts us into the HOV lane and makes people come over, because I love discussing this in almost a kind of a sociological term and not just necessarily mocking derision, though that has its place as well. All right, dear friends, have a great and a glorious day. Don't ever change. I mean that sincerely. And until we meet each other again tonight for Ventilation Friday with Mrs. L. Remember this, the monkey's dead. Oh, by the way, 10 o'clock, 10:40, I'll be on the Mark Simone show today. So be looking. He's on 710 WOR. He's the only terrestrial talk radio show I even listen to. Anyway, have a great day, my friends. And, what was I going to say? Oh, yes. It's been a tough day. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Dad.